Hello and welcome to the Silver King's War. I'm Michael Sievers, the writer, producer, and creator of this podcast series about my father's Second World War as a B-26 bombardier. Today we continue in the letters that the Silver King wrote from Lakeland, Florida during his training in pilot school, and he has reached a significant part in his hard work. Stanley wrote 2 letters on Thursday, April 22nd, 1943. The first, Dear Dad, today I had the biggest thrill of my life. I soloed. I can't describe to you my feelings, but remember the first time you let me have the car alone? It was a little of the same excitement. I had thought I was ready to solo, but had no idea it would be today. We left the field in the usual manner without a word about solo from my instructor. After we reached the auxiliary field and shot 5 landings, my instructor just popped up and told me to take it around myself. If I hadn't closed my mouth, my heart would have just jumped right out. Anyhow, I started out, circled the field, and came in for my landing. It was undoubtedly the worst of all my landings. When my instructor walked over after I stopped, he had a smile on from ear to ear. He said, "Take it around again, and this time relax more." Well, I went around twice more, and both landings were good. I seem to have corrected most of my errors. All in all, I had 17 minutes of solo. Tomorrow, I expect to get my 10-hour check ride. I'm ready for it, as after today, I know I can fly a plane, and no little check ride is going to keep me from it. The weather here is beautiful. Tomorrow, during calisthenics, we are going swimming. That's something I've been looking forward to. I have a pretty good tan already, and should be black in a few more days. We'll be flying every Sunday from now on unless we can catch up in time during the week, and I don't think that's probable. I'd like to tell you and Mother to come down, but if I can't get out, there wouldn't be any need. Perhaps we'll catch up, then I'll have the weekend off to be with you. I hope you weren't too lonesome. I'll try to write every day, as I know how good it is to get letters when you're lonesome. And don't work too hard and keep well. Write whenever you get the chance, and love to Ida. Love, Stan. Stanley's second letter on Thursday, April 22nd, 1943 is exuberant. Dearest Ones, today was the day of days. I had my first solo flight. I think I'm about the happiest fellow alive. I knew I was about ready for it, but wasn't sure when it would come. Anyhow, this morning, we took off in the usual manner without any word of solo. We went directly to the auxiliary field and shot 5 landings. He must have been satisfied with the way I was handling the ship, because as we taxied back, he started giving me last-minute instructions. His actual words when he stopped the ship to get out were, quote, "I think you can do it. Now show me," end quote. Well, you can imagine how I felt. Remember how excited I was when Dad let me have the car alone for the first time? My heart was beating a mile a minute, and I felt as weak as a baby. It's really hard to describe my exact feelings. I taxied out to take off, took a deep breath, shouted on the top of my lungs, and gave it the gun. I felt the ship leave the ground. I knew everything was up to me. That old familiar head and voice wasn't there to correct my errors. I was the only pilot. My patterns around the field were perfect. I kept my altitude all the way, but my landing was really something. It was undoubtedly the worst I've ever done. I landed off too far along the ground. Consequently, I hit with a big bounce. My left wing went way down, and the ship started in a circle to the right. I finally straightened it out by giving it a full rudder. They call this maneuver a ground loop. It's the one thing you aren't supposed to do. Of course, I was scared to death, as I just knew that would be the end of my flying career. I taxied back up to where Hayes was waiting, and, believe it or not, he had a smile on from ear to ear. He said, quote, "Now relax and take it easy. I know you can do better than that. Take it around again," end quote. That was such a relief and such encouragement that my next 2 landings were perfect. All in all, I had 3 landings for a total of 17 minutes solo. My confidence is bursting over the top. I know for sure I can fly a plane. I'm ready for the check ride now, as my instructor knows I can fly, and I know I can fly. When I got back to the barracks, the fellows threw me in the shower, clothes and all. It's a tradition to shower the fellows after their first solo. Believe me, that was one shower I was most happy to take. No more news for now. I must write Dad the good news. I hope he'll be as proud as I am. Please write soon. Lots of love to everyone. I love you and I miss you, Stan. Stanley, who is full of good news this week, continues to write separately to his father. And this is Sunday, April 25th, 1943. Dear Dad, I hope this finds you well and not too lonesome. I feel as good as ever. I just got back from town. Open post today was really unexpected. I had thought we would fly, but due to Easter, it was called off. Lakeland is a nice little place, but it is almost as quiet as Birmingham. If it wasn't for the cadets being allowed in the officers' club, the place would really be dead. At the club, there is a bar and dance floor, which makes it very nice. I spent most of the day there and had 2 good meals. It was good to get out. I went up solo again yesterday. That makes my 2nd solo flight. 2 more, and I will be able to leave right from the field without my instructor, instead of having to go over to an auxiliary field. I still haven't had my 10-hour check. It should come any day. I shall certainly be relieved when it's behind me. So many fellows are washing out, it has me a little scared. Must close now and write Mother. Take care of yourself and don't work too hard. Please let me hear from you. Love to Ida. Love, Stan. Stanley's 2nd letter on Sunday, April 25th, 1943, begins, Dearest Ones. Just got in from open post. I had thought we would fly today, but due to Easter and the upper class graduation dance last night, it was called off. I had a pretty good time in town. The officers' club is open to the cadets, which makes it very nice. There is a bar and dance floor there, and it was open all day on Sunday. Other than that, there isn't much to do in Lakeland. However, I did get a couple of good meals. That helped a great deal. I didn't fly Friday because of the shortage of time. Yesterday I soloed again. This time I got 22 minutes of solo time. It's a great feeling to know you can fly the plane without anyone's help. I have to have 1 more supervised solo. Then I go into solo stages. That means 5 planes leave the auxiliary field, one after the other, circle the field, and land. This is done 5 times, and each time the landing is graded by the commander. When I pass that, I can solo right from the main field here. I still haven't had my 10-hour check, and I have 11 hours and 37 minutes now. I surely wish it was behind me, as it is worrying me too much. Received your letter and card. It surely was a sweet card. And thank Aunt Rose for wanting to send the candy, but I'd rather she wouldn't. I just don't have room, and besides, the heat would melt it before we could eat it. I really don't need a thing. Your good wishes are all I could ask for. No more news. I hope you're well. I feel swell and miss you very much. Lots of love, Stan. Our hero, the Silver King, is now 20 years old. He writes a very poignant letter on Monday, April 26, 1943. Dearest Ones, it's going to be most difficult to write the kind of letter that I'd like to. I want to say so many things, the things that are really in my heart, yet to put it down in words is another thing. I don't know how to begin. Nothing I can say would suffice for the meaning I want to put forth. When I opened the package and found the watch, my breath actually left me. I had hardly expected anything so extremely nice, yet I should have known, coming from you, it would have to be that way. Believe me, dear, saying thank you from the bottom of my heart is a far cry from what I'd really like to say. I could put millions of simple words on this paper and still not sufficiently express my full appreciation. It's the grandest gift in the world. There was nothing I could have wanted more. I can easily see that it was most expensive for you, and I'm sorry you did it. It wasn't at all necessary for you to go to such expense. I never before mentioned my need for a watch, simply because I knew you would have to buy it while I wanted to pay for it myself. Well, you beat me to it, and I am most humble. You are much too sweet. Until I'm able to see you to thank you properly, I'll just say thanks a million from the very bottom of my heart. With the faith you have in me, I know I shall succeed and prove to you my worthiness. I really had a swell birthday. I received a nice box of candy from Dodie, and this candy proposition is running me wild. And I got a card from Aunt Sylvia and a beautiful letter from Cece. It couldn't have been better unless we all had been together. Flying was plenty rough this afternoon. It was windy and the gusts were dealing me misery. I couldn't make a smooth landing, so help me. Hayes wouldn't let me solo again because I was so lousy. He was plenty disgusted after we got back to the field. He looked at me and said, quote, "Well, that really was a waste of time," end quote. He also added I had better give him a good ride tomorrow. I'm beginning to get worried as my check is due, and after today I'm doubtful as to whether I could pass it. Already 25% of the class has washed out. Even 2 in our 5 have washed. Hayes has only 3 of us left. I hope this isn't one of those times when 3 is a crowd. I received your wire tonight. That was awfully sweet. I hope you're all well. I'm fine, but miss you. Love to everyone, and tell Aunt Rose to forget the candy and to write me a letter instead. Write soon. I love you and I miss you. Stan. Stanley writes a second thank you letter, this one to his dad on Monday, April 26, 1943. Dear Dad, it was swell hearing from you. I'm very honored to have received a letter from you, as I know what an effort it is for you to write. Dad, I don't know how to begin to thank you for such a wonderful gift. I'm sure it costs you much more than I deserve. Nonetheless, thanks a million from the bottom of my heart. Flying this afternoon was terrible. It was terribly windy, and I couldn't do a thing with the plane. My instructor was disgusted with me and wouldn't let me solo. I'm beginning to worry about my check coming soon. Already 25% of this class has washed out. Even today, a fellow in my flight washed. They're dropping out like flies. I wrote Mother, and now I haven't time to add any more. I'll write again tomorrow. Take care of yourself and don't get too lonesome. Please write again soon. Love to Ida. Love, Stan. This is the end of Lakeland Letters, Part 4, as our hero, the Silver King, gets ready for his 10-hour check ride. And you are listening to the Silver King's War.